I love to see the summer beaming forth, and white woolsack clouds sailing to the north. I love to see the wild flowers come again, and mere blobs stain with gold the meadow rain. John Clare. Who can explain why Gustav IV Adolf was against the Enlightenment and the French Revolution? The classroom was warm and stuffy. The sun shone in and it was impossible for the students to concentrate. There was just 1 week left until the summer holidays and the students focused on anything but studying. The class trip to Stockholm had made the summer seem even closer. The upcoming school break had easily taken over from studies as the top priority. Kristina, however, didn't give up. The fact that we are soon on summer break doesn't mean that you can only sit through the last few lessons. Slapping her hand on the desk between each syllable, she continued, I want cooperation. Jenny and Agneta were sitting at the back of the classroom, quietly discussing what to wear at the end of term celebration on Friday. I saw this gorgeous two-piece dress at Nordiska Kompaniet, Agneta whispered. Apricot-colored jacket with flared shorts. There was one combined with a miniskirt in turquoise. It would fit you perfectly. My thighs are too fat for miniskirts. Jenny kept her eyes on Kristina. No, they're not. Don't be silly. Yes, they are. And Nordiska Kompaniet is too expensive for me. Jenny, can you please answer the question? In desperation, Kristina looked at Jenny, her last hope. He was against the Enlightenment because it was the Enlightenment's revolutionary ideas that inspired his father's killer. Whose name was? Seriously, did she really have to give these obvious answers? Gustav III. Correct. Kristina's smile was wide. On Wednesday, you had better all know this as well as Jenny does. We will have a final test then. The objections were loud. A written test in the last week was unexpected. Hey, you can't do that. Who cares? The grades are already set anyway. Kristina ignored the protests. Pages 213 to 221 in the history book. The test is on Wednesday. Jenny shrugged and noted the pages in her agenda. It had sheet music on the cover. Agneta had given it to her last Christmas. They went out of the classroom and walked towards the lockers. They had a 45-minute lunch break. When Keivan called Jenny's name, she turned around and smiled happily at him. Hi, how are you? Just great. What about you? Did you enjoy Stockholm? Yeah, we had a good time. Agneta didn't say anything. She rarely did when Jenny spoke to Keivan. She was always too caught up looking at him without letting him see she was. Jenny and Keivan talked about the gig on Friday and the band rehearsal on Wednesday. If you come to my place this afternoon, we can set the song list. Keivan stroked away a black curl that was tickling his face. I'm going to town with Agneta first to check out clothes for Friday, but I can come to you after that, around 6 or 7 o'clock. Sure, you can join us for dinner then. I'd love to. You know my parents. You know what their cooking is like. I know. See you later then. Agneta looked closely at his straight, unusually full lips. His smile looked so kind. He walked away without hearing her goodbye. As usual, she had said it too quietly. He's really good looking, isn't he? Who? Jenny was putting her books in the locker. Keivan, of course. Oh yes, I guess he is. His eyes, his hair. But he has a really big nose. Hey, don't say that. It's not big. It's just gives his face character. Jenny couldn't help wondering if Agneta had ever thought the same about her own wide mouth. Not that Jenny found herself perfect. She knew she could use some of Agneta's height and sleek elegance. On top of that, she knew she had a turned-up nose and round cheeks. Her father said it suited her since she was so cheeky. Instead of talking about round cheeks or wide mouths, Jenny pointed out that Keivan was kind. Yes, I can see that in his eyes. Yeah, they look like teddy bear eyes, don't they? Kind, a little sad and dark brown. She paused and then laughed. God, we sound so girlish. Agneta laughed with her, and they went to Animalen, the school dining room, and then she asked Jenny where Keivan was from, originally. Iran. His parents moved here when he was 5. Does he know how to speak Arabic? Persian. Yes, that's what they speak at home. And yet he speaks perfect Swedish. He's good. Jenny opened her barrette to put back some strands of hair that had fallen loose from her ponytail. Let's go to H&M today too. I probably can't afford anything from NK. Sure, we can go there too. It was 6:15 when Jenny came by motorcycle to Överåsgatan where Keivan lived. Fatima, Keivan's mother, opened the door to the large grey villa. "Ah, Jenny, come in, come in." Fatima's small eyes lit up as soon as she saw Keivan's friend. Jenny also smiled as she looked at Fatima's round face with its many laugh lines. "Good you here," Fatima said as Jenny took off her outerwear. Fatima's Swedish was fully understandable but far from correct. It gave people the wrong impression. By now, Jenny knew her well enough not to underestimate her. Fatima's heart was as warm as her small brown eyes, and she was a bright businesswoman. She sold Persian handmade rugs online. Some she made herself, but she bought most from friends and relatives in Iran. She had contacted various transport companies and had noticed that some boats, trucks, and in some cases even train cars were full on their way down to Iran, but almost empty on the way back. Fatima had agreed with them that she could use that empty space relatively cheaply and transport the carpets at a lower price than the large companies. In the basement of the villa in Örgryte, the carpets were repackaged, checked, and forwarded to those who had ordered them online. "I cooked the stew you like, you remember, yes?" Fatima hung Jenny's leather jacket in the closet. "The specialty from your hometown?" Yes, you like it." "Ah, yes, I do. Thank you, Fatima." "Keivan!" Fatima shouted up the stairs and said something in Persian. "He doesn't have to come down. I'll just go up. We eat after half hour, yes?" "Okay, we'll come down in half an hour." Keivan met her at the top of the stairs. "Mom's glad you're here, isn't she?" "Yes, it seems that way." They walked toward Keivan's room. "She even cooked some food, especially for me." "I know. The rest of us take her cooking for granted, I guess. You don't." Keivan's room was tidy. The desk wasn't as crowded as Jenny's, and everything was in its right place. Pens to the right, all books in a pile to the left, and a paper puncher in the middle. The bed was made with 2 decorative pillows on the bedspread. Jenny suddenly thought of the Hotties' double bed, unmade and in some way daring. Keivan's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Sorry, what did you say?" "Did Mum say when the food would be ready?" "In half an hour." "And we can decide the song list before we eat." Keivan swept his arm towards the armchair, offering it to her. He sat down on the chair by the desk and asked if they should have a special theme at the gig. "Yeah, I think so. It's such a special occasion. Summer holidays, graduation for some." "Summer theme then?" "Yeah, I'd like that. Many of the Thomas Ledin songs that we have in our repertoires are summery. On the other hand, those songs work better when we play at corporate parties. Maybe we should have newer songs for this gig." "Yeah, but Sommar and a Kort is a classic. Let's do that one at least." Keivan wrote on a small notepad with a black cover. "I'm gonna soak up the sun. I'm gonna tell everyone to lighten up," Jenny hummed. "The Sheryl Crow song we played at some shows, you know. It's summery. I like the old Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves too. It's so happy. We can do that new crazy song as well, the Ketchup song. I know the lyrics are weird and hard for you to remember, but it's a good floor filler." He kept on writing. "Oh, Keivan, I would love to sing Summertime. It's so full of longing." "We'll see how much new stuff we can learn." "Please?" He laughed. We'll try. The guys will protest on Wednesday, but that doesn't matter." By the time dinner was ready, they had put together a song list that only contained 2 new songs. The dinner was as calm and pleasant as they normally were with Keivan's family. To be polite, they spoke Swedish during the meal. The conversation was all about Friday's big event when Keivan would graduate. It was an important milestone, not only for Keivan, but also for his family, other relatives, and his friends. Fatima and Ahad would have liked to have Keivan home all Friday night instead of playing with the band at the party. Keivan didn't say much. He just smiled at his parents' enthusiasm over Friday's feast while he watched Jenny's listening and always smiling face. There was something unusually vivid about her face. There was always something moving. Her eyebrows moved up and down, her mouth moved softly, even when she was not talking. One moment it smiled broadly, the next the lower lip pouted. Keivan enjoyed watching her. Suddenly he saw Jenny wrinkle her forehead and pout. "But Keivan, yes, it'll be hard for you to be on time for the soundcheck on Friday, won't it?" "I won't be there." She opened her eyes wide. "But you're in charge of the PA." "Normally, yes. On Friday, you get to connect the audio system." But I can't. Of course you can. She didn't want to quarrel with him when his parents were listening, so she mumbled, "We'll talk about it later," and ate the rest of the food on her plate. Taking his time, Keivan finished his meal. When she was leaving, he followed her to the door. "Honestly, Keivan, I don't remember how everything should be connected. Let's go through it on Wednesday, before we rehearse." "But I can't tune the right sound." "Yes, you can." She took a deep breath and made her voice sound extra serious. "Listen to me. I don't know exactly how the bass drum should sound, or the bass, or..." He interrupted her. "The guys know that. Just start with the sound you like, then they can say what they think, and all you need to know is which button does what." "I'm telling you, I don't remember which button does what." He handed her leather jacket to her. "I'll show you on Wednesday." His voice was patient, as always. She shrugged. "Okay, but it's your fault that I'll be nervous every single day until Friday." To her dismay, he didn't look like that bothered him at all. She put on her helmet and boots and opened the door. "Drive carefully." "I always do." She swung her leg over her motorcycle, kick-started it, and drove off. Diego recognized her straight away when he met her on Lillkullegatan on her way from Örgryte to Utby, where she lived. Or rather, he recognized her motorcycle with a badly dipped headlight. She should do something about that. Although she was driving north and he was heading south, so their motorcycles were only next to each other for a moment, he noticed that she was speeding. He had to warn her. He made a U-turn, caught up and passed her, and then he drove slowly, or rather, at a lawful speed, just in front of her. She tried to overtake him, but he moved his bike to the left to stop her. He could sense her irritation, even though he couldn't see her facial expression behind the visor. Soon you'll understand. After another kilometer, they arrived at the police check he had passed before. She saw it and realized he had helped her not get caught. After the speed check, they drove in the same direction for a while. Then he made another U-turn to drive south again. She smiled and raised her hand in a thank you. He nodded briefly before driving off into the bright summer night.